As promised in my previous video, today we will be talking about getting your documents ready on your application for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. While your permanent residency application is still ongoing, it would be best for you to gather all the documents that you need. You should get these documents ready to avoid delays when you apply for your permanent residence in Atlantic Canada. Language. You must take a language test and send the results with your application. You must do this even if you started in Canada. Question is, how to prove your language ability? You must prove your language skills by taking a language test approved by IRCC. You must schedule your test and pay the cost. Get results that are at least equal to a language level 4 of a Canadian language benchmark or the CLB. And this applies to all 4 abilities: writing, reading, listening, and speaking. Send the results with your complete application. If you don't include them, they will not process your application. Don't ask for your language test result to be sent directly to them. Keep your original test in a safe place, as they may ask you for it later. Now, what are the language tests that they accept? For English, we have the CALPIP and the IELTS. CALPIP General, or the Canadian English Language Proficiency Index Program. You must take the CALPIP General Test and not the General LS Test. IELTS General Training, or the International English Language System. You must take the General Training Test and not the Academic Test. For the French language is the TEF Canada. You must take the TEF Canada test. Now, how do you find your language level? You need to have a CLB 4 or higher for all 4 abilities. Check the table to find the minimum score you need on each ability. Second is education. If you studied outside Canada, you need to have the Educational Credential Assessment Report. This shows how your education compares to a Canadian one. It's easier to get this document while still in your home country. Have your education assessed by the Atlantic Immigration Pilot. An Educational Credential Assessment, or the ECA, is issued to verify that your foreign degree, diploma, certificate, or other proof of your credential is valid and equal to a Canadian one. You will need to get an ECA specifically for immigration purposes for your foreign degree, diploma, or certificate if you are applying for an Atlantic Immigration Pilot. The ECA report must show that your completed foreign credential, like your degree, diploma, or certificate, is equal to uncompleted Canadian secondary school or post-secondary credential. You must submit an ECA for all levels of completed foreign education you want them to consider. It is up to you to decide which credentials to have assessed by a designated organization. You will only accept the ECA for immigration purposes from one of the organizations that they designate. The original ECA report must be issued on or after the date they designated the organization. If you got the report before the date, contact the organization to see if they will reissue it. Your ECA must be less than 5 years old when you apply. So here are the list of the designated organizations' ECAs. The third document is the proof of funds. When you arrive here in Canada, you need money to support yourself and your family. So the question is, how much money should you need when you come here in Canada? Note, they update these numbers every year based on the 12.5% of the low-income cut-off totals. You may want to double-check if you still have enough money based on the new cutoff to support your family if you immigrate to Canada. This change is small, but there is a chance it could affect your eligibility. You must show that you have enough money to support yourself and your family after you get to Canada unless you are working in Canada under a valid work permit. You can't borrow money from another person. You must be able to use this money to pay the costs of living for your family, even if they are not coming with you. You will need to show proof to the Canadian Visa Office in your home country that you have enough money when you apply to immigrate. The amount of money you need to support your family is set by the size of your family. We update these amounts every year. Another question, how much money should I bring? It's a good idea to research how much it costs to live in the place where you plan to settle in Canada. Bring as much money as you can to make moving and finding a home in Canada easier. Note that Canadian customs regulations require you to declare if you are bringing more than 10,000 Canadian dollars into Canada. If you don't tell them, you may be fined, and your funds could be seized. These funds could be in the form of cash, documents that show property or capital payable to you, such as stocks, bonds, debentures, treasury bills, and others. Documents that guarantee payment of a set amount of money, which are payable to you, such as bankers' drafts, checks, travelers' checks, or money orders. The fourth document that you need to secure is the settlement plan. After you get a job offer from a designated employer, you must need to get a settlement plan. A settlement plan will help you and your family adjust to your new home in Atlantic Canada. It will provide you with useful resources and contacts to help you feel home in your new community. These plans are free. If you're already in Canada, you must work with a settlement service provider organization in the region where you'll be working. Your designated employer can help you find one. If you're outside Canada, there are several settlement service provider organizations in Canada you can contact. Check with the designated employer for recommendations. Settlement service provider organizations don't know which employers are looking for workers, so don't contact them to find a job. Once you have your settlement plan, give a copy to your employer and keep a copy for yourself. If you're not in Canada, bring the plan with you when you move to Canada. Next step is to get your certificate of endorsement. After you have your settlement plan, the province must endorse your job offer. Your employer will handle this process. Don't submit your permanent residence application until you confirm with the employer that your offer has been endorsed. If the province endorses your job offer, you'll get a certificate of endorsement in the mail. Include your endorsement certificate with your permanent residence application. Question is there any other documents that I need to gather aside from the ones mentioned? And the answer is yes. In general, whether you are looking to immigrate to Canada or are hoping to sponsor a family member or spouse, it's imperative to know which documents you'll need. While it depends on the kind of application that you will be making, in order to make an application before a Canadian Immigration Office, you should generally possess the following documents: birth certificates for you and the family members who are immigrating with you, adoption papers, if applicable, marriage certificates, separation and divorce papers to ensure that you and your spouse are legally married and that if either one of you was involved in the previous marriage, that it was terminated. Diplomas, degrees, certificates, and trade papers that show you are qualified to work in your chosen field. These are required for skilled worker applications and may support other types of cases as well. Certified immunization records. This is only required for children under 16 so that they can attend to school in Canada. Valid driver's license. This is not mandatory, but if you do have a license that was issued in your home country, it will be valid in Canada for up to 6 months. Police clearance certificates, or as they are sometimes called, certificates of non-criminal activity, are necessary. Record of landing or confirmation of permanent residence if it has been issued to you. Current passport. Photocopies of both sides of 2 pieces of personal identification. It's not necessary that both pieces of ID have your photo on it, but ensure that one does. You will need to include 2 photographs of yourself that meet the citizenship or the immigration requirements. Proof of payment for the entire process. This does not count any cost you may have incurred coming to Canada, legal fees, or anything that does not relate directly to your sponsorship or citizenship application. Original translations and affidavits confirmed by a translator are required if any documents you submit are not in Canada to official languages, English or French. You might still be needing other documents depending on the pathway that you choose to come here in Canada. But remember this, when you cease to dream, you cease to live. And if you want to succeed in as much as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.